Well, it's tough out there in the world of SEC football, and we're seeing that with Georgia's quarterback, JT Daniels. Again, now with a new injury that he's dealing with, something Kirby Smart talked with reporters about on Wednesday. Uh, this is not the same injury, obviously, as the most recent one, but this is now two times that Georgia's quarterback is dealing with an injury. And sometimes, in athletics, it feels like if you get hurt, you can stay hurt. And I don't know if that's going to be the case with JT. It doesn't seem like it, but I did want to let y'all know what Kirby had to say. This is what he said. He was asked about his oblique injury, which seems to have been sort of taken care of. And these are two different things, okay? Let me just get to what Kirby said. The oblique is fine, or his oblique is fine. He's been having a little bit of a lat issue. Now, a lat is part of your back, your kind of upper back. Smart told reporters it's bothered him some last week and it bothered him some this week, but he's done a good job. He's sharp, watches all his game tape, gets his reps, and he's done a good job. So we're hoping he can stay that way, meaning stay healthy. This is, JT is Georgia's most important player in a lot of different ways. I mean, more than anything, he gives them the capability to score really fast, and he doesn't make as many mistakes as Stetson Bennett has made or Carson Beck. Carson's thrown a pick six. Stetson is not, but he set up South Carolina right where they could score pretty quick on Georgia. It was just a field goal, but still, it's a latimus dorsi, okay? Now, I didn't take anatomy in high school or college, but it's kind of, it's not the lower back. I shouldn't call it the upper back. It's kind of not so far in terms of where it is in your torso from the oblique. I mean, the oblique is kind of around that area. As you can tell, I'm not a physician, but it looks like it's a muscular injury. And it's just something that JT's going to have to get through. And the only thing, there's a few issues here. Number one, he has dealt with an injury for a while, whether it be the oblique or this lat. Number two, for the most part, he's been pretty hit free. He got popped once against Vanderbilt. I think Clemson knocked him to the ground one time. He was sacked against Clemson one time, so probably maybe two knockdowns against Clemson. Did not play against UAB, and against Carolina, got hit. But, JT's been dealing with this for a while. That's number one. Number two, or just some sort of injury. Number two, he's not a real big person. And that's something that occurred to me as a big person when I was talking with him at media days. He is not a real, physical person in terms of certainly not a lot of fat, if any, and he's just not big, like he's just not big. So he's not small like Stetson, but he's not big like KJ Jefferson this weekend. Now that's big. That's my size. He's an inch shorter than me at 6'3". We both weigh around 240, 245, 250, 255. So, we're big people. Doesn't mean we can take shots easier, but there's a little bit more padding with us. JT's a slender guy, He's not big. So does that add up? I don't know. It felt like it sometimes, but big guys can get hurt too. So, how much that matters, I'm not sure. He played with the rib protector against what I would call rib protector JT against Clemson. I didn't see it against South Carolina, but it was back out there, if I'm not mistaken, for the Vanderbilt game. So I just think this is something that JT's just going to have to deal with through the season. And Georgia's offensive line is going to have to protect him. And that's it. I mean, it's that simple, because he has been as solid a quarterback as I have seen play this season. He's not been spectacular. There's been some guys who have been a little more spectacular. Honestly, KJ Jefferson's been spectacular in a way that JT hasn't, just because of the deep, deep throws. I mean, 85-yard touchdown. But JT has played quarterback really well. I mean, look at his numbers on third down. They are crazy. With all that said, you look at the I almost called him Mel Tucker, Mel Kiper's big board today. JT's not in the top 10 quarterbacks. And people will say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, you want to hate somebody on ESPN, that's kind of your deal. I get it, But we're in October, and these things kind of start settling themselves out after a while. And, I think he does need to play more. He's played about 7 quarters of football in 4 games. That's not a lot. And so I don't know that that's a problem. But against Arkansas, he's probably going to have to play 3 quarters or 4. Against Auburn, he might have to play 3 or 4 quarters. We know what JT Daniels can do. I mean, I feel completely comfortable saying that. We're not. This isn't the week after the Mississippi State game. This isn't going into the Peach Bowl. This isn't going into Clemson. We know he can perform. Game-winning drive with Jack Podnesley with not a lot of time left. Not a lot of time left at all in the Peach Bowl against Cincinnati, a team that I expect to beat Notre Dame this weekend. We'll see, coin flip game. The 400-yard performance against Mississippi State, the near 400 against Cincinnati, the steady play, with the exception of that 1 interception, against Clemson, the really very good play against South Carolina, the ridiculous play against Vanderbilt. We know what JT Daniels can do. We don't need to see him out there every snap. But I do think, as a person who's played in college, you don't want to lose a rhythm. Like, you do want to play. And when you play, you want to throw. So how much has this sidelined him? I don't know. The good news is he's dealt with injury now for 18 months, not quite 2 years. All of 2020, getting into it after the surgery for ACL, multiple procedures for the ACL. And then, dealing with the oblique injury and now the lat injury. The oblique meant you couldn't throw as much. I'm not as expert. I haven't called as much around the lat injury, but to me it doesn't feel as serious. I completely could be ignorant there, but we would have heard if this is a real issue. I'm recording this relatively late on Thursday. Georgia's finishing practice right now. We would hear through the grapevine that there's something going on wrong. But Georgia's got capable backups. And this is a part of the season that Georgia's going to have to get through. Frankly, this is the most physical time. You're dealing with Auburn right after this game. Arkansas is about as physical as it gets in the league. Auburn is certainly physical. I would say pound for pound, Kentucky is the most physical team that Georgia deals with. I'm not saying they're the most physical in the league, but they're the most physical Georgia deals with every year. And then the Gators are right there with them. So this is a situation where you're going to need to keep JT upright and healthy. You don't want him to have to deal with any sort of problems. I would say you want to get through this week and just assess where you're at. But October is extremely important. You've got 4 games in 5 weeks. They are all going to be rough. And then things will chill out a little bit in November. So perhaps you can ramp up to an SEC championship appearance. But you're not going to do that if you don't beat the Gators. You probably won't do that if you don't beat Arkansas, but we'll see. And, this is, to some degree, this is what professional quarterbacks deal with. You're the guy, you're going to be banged up. Ben Roethlisberger's been dealing with that forever. Guys get hurt. If you can play, you should play. He's playing. He's not making excuses. He was not made available to the media this week. So that's probably because he's a little bit banged up. But it is an important moment for Georgia to come out. The offensive line should be challenged. And Arkansas's defense is difficult to deal with schematically, and their nose guard is gonna be a problem. He can push the pocket and really make JT perhaps not as comfortable as he'd like to be during the day. I mean, it's not always a lot of fun playing quarterback in the SEC. It's a lot easier when you're not getting hit. Says every quarterback who's ever played quarterback before. So we're going to see. Make sure you go over to dogpost.com. We'll see you on the website.